Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another, in the sequence of the end times videos. I'm going to go through Deuteronomy 7. And so just a reminder for people who maybe see this video first, the sequence of the end times is Christ returning and taking away his elect, and then bringing the two witnesses here to America for a time of 1,260 days of plagues and wrath, modern day Egypt, and then America destroyed, and then Christ returning with his elect in the Middle East. To destroy the rest of the nations, the rest of the people, and they all have the mark of the beast. And then after that, it's the kingdom of heaven established on earth. And so we see another example of that here in Deuteronomy 7. The beginning of it is called a chosen people. And so let's read it and look for that sequence. And we see it. It's very clear. Deuteronomy 7. When the Lord your God brings you into the land that you are entering to take possession of it, and clears away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and mightier than you. And when the Lord your God gives them over to you and you defeat them, then you must devote them to complete destruction. You shall make no covenant with them and shall show no mercy to them. You shall not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons or taking their daughters to your sons, for they would turn away your sons from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and he would destroy you quickly. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall break down their altars, and dash in pieces their pillars, and chop down their ashram, and burn their carved images with fire. And so that term ashram is similar to what's used in Hinduism, And so all these other religions and all that are fundamentally anti-Christ, anti the God of the Bible. And they're rooted in all these other nations, the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, and all that kind of stuff. And so the language gets passed, and all that type of stuff. So that's the instruction, that's the setup. And then so starting from verse 6, we'll see that this is related to a time, historical. But the amazing thing about the Bible is that it's layered, because it's the same God who's performing the things in this time and then in the last days. And so here we're going to actually start to see the sequence beginning. We're always looking first and foremost for a chosen people, the elect, a reference to that. And, that kind of thing. And so deliverance, salvation, and all that. And not a big surprise. That's what we see. Verse 6, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you. There we have a reference to the chosen. To be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. That's a flat earth indirect reference. It was not because you were more in number than any other people that the Lord set his love on you and chose you. Again, the chosen. For you are the fewest of all people. So many are called, but the chosen are few. And that's another example of that. But it is because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to your fathers, that the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And so this is speaking of a historical event, but modern day Egypt is America. And so right away we get salvation from Egypt or America first. And so that always happens first in the sequence. And not a big shocker, it's here as well. And so God's elect are taken away. Verse 9, know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God, who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays to their face those who hate him by destroying them. And so we get another clue here of who that group is. Revelation 18:4 says, come out of her, my people, don't be partakers of her sins. And so it's people who understand the law, and then don't take part in those sins. And so, like it says here, who love him and keep his commandments. And so all these Christians are just actors and Satanists when they say, oh, you just got to love God and say the sinner's prayer and all that. It's both. And steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments. And so, and repays to their face those who hate him by destroying them. He will not be slack with the one who hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore be careful to do the commandment and the statutes and rules that I command you today. And that's what we're told in the last days in Revelation 18:4. And so it's for that group who wants to be a part of that. Verse 12, and because you listen to these rules and keep and do them, that's an action. It's not just saying a prayer like these idiots talk about. The Lord your God will keep with you the covenant and the steadfast love that he swore to your fathers. He will love you, bless you, and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, your grain and your wine and your oil, the increase of your herds and the young of your flock in the land that he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There shall be no male or female barren among you or among your livestock, and the Lord will take away from you all sickness, and none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which you knew, will he inflict upon you. This is the pre-plague rapture. And so this again is historic, but it's the exact language in the last days in Revelation 18:4 and 18:8 that says, come out of her, my people, don't be partakers of her sins, and then you won't receive of her plagues. And then that language is the same. And so it's the same God who's speaking here and is speaking then. And just know that. And the only difference is that this is ancient Egypt, and then it's modern day as America. And so, like it says here, none of the evil diseases of Egypt or America, plagues, which you knew, will he inflict upon you. Again, it's a pre-plague rapture. But he will lay them on all who hate you. And so it's for God's enemies. And you shall consume all the peoples that the Lord your God will give over to you. Your eyes shall not pity them, neither shall you serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. And so now that refers to after those plagues are administered in America, headquartered, then after that, you shall consume the peoples. And so that means that God's elect are going to return with him for this final destruction. And so this is the exact sequence of the end times. And that's in verse 16 and 6, which is destruction. 666. And you shall consume all the peoples that the Lord your God will give over to you. And your eye shall not pity them, neither shall you serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. Verse 17, if you say in your heart, these nations are greater than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but you shall remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs, the wonders, the mighty hand, and the outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out. So will the Lord your God do to all the people of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send hornets among them, until those who are left and hid themselves from you are destroyed. You shall not be in dread of them, for the Lord your God is in the midst, a great and awesome God. The Lord your God will clear away these nations before you little by little. You may not make an end of them at once, lest the wild beasts grow too numerous for you, but the Lord your God will give them over to you and throw them into great confusion until they are destroyed. And he will give their kings into your hand, and you shall make their name perish under heaven. And this is when Christ is returning, and body and soul are going to be destroyed, like we're going to read here, with fire. No one shall be able to stand against you until you have destroyed them. So God's saying God's elect are going to actually destroy them. The carved images of their gods you shall burn with fire. And so this is Christ returning with his elect and his angels, and having this power and instruction to go and destroy everybody on earth, and they're all going to have the mark of the beast. You shall not covet the silver or the gold that is on them, or take it for yourselves, lest you be ensnared by it, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. And you shall not bring an abominable thing into your house and become devoted to destruction like it. This is again, come out of her, my people. You shall utterly detest and abhor it, for it is devoted to destruction. And so that's why God says in Revelation 18 to come out. And then that's a way that God can identify those people who don't want to be destroyed, and then identifies God's people because they care about God's laws like the Israelites do, and the elect. And so just know that. And so, after this massive destruction by God instructing his elect, the next chapter should ideally reference, the kingdom of heaven, and it does. And so it's, again, not a big surprise in Deuteronomy 8. Verse 7, for the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains, and of springs flowing out in the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's the exact sequence, and it's an amazing thing, and so that sequence will never be violated because it's the very DNA of God, of the God of the Bible, the God of the Israelites. And the only difference is that it's in the last days, and the modern day Egypt is America, but the exact sequence of events is going to hold. And, we have to just honor these words, and then we could potentially be a part of that group, that, can be exempt, from all these plagues and all this wrath and all that kind of stuff. And so, verse 9, know therefore that the Lord your God is God and faithful, and the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays to their face those who hate him. And so if you're hated by this world, that's a good thing. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.